Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Well, it's nice to see so many people online and in the room. Thank you again for being here. My name is Avana Andrade, and I'm a Senior Sustainability Coordinator at San Mateo County. I'm a colleague of Valero's. And today I'm going to be talking to you about a few different programs and projects that we've been working on in our office that relate to this topic. First, let me start my timer. Okay, next slide, please. So the first program that I want to talk about is our countywide support for climate action planning. This program is known as the Regional Integrated Climate Action Planning Support Program. This was launched in 2011. And this is a program that through which we provide monthly working groups, a blueprint climate action framework, a menu of measures, a forecasting tool, and we assist jurisdictions with community GHG inventories. So we do a lot of the technical heavy lifting, and by we, I mean our consultant team at Rincon. They do a lot of the technical lifting for us. And so that's kind of the gist of RICAPs. Cities don't have to pay for our services. This program is funded by CCAG, by Energy Watch and PG&E, and by Peninsula Clean Energy. And CCAG also provides staffing support. Next slide, please. So back in January, we decided to focus our group on existing building electrification, given the juggernaut that this issue is for all of us in this field. And so we decided to set up a series of workshops that focused on this topic. So we started in January by identifying hurdles and solutions, and I'll break down some of these images, some of these graphics for you in a moment, but just to give you a sense of the general flow of things. In January, we worked with folks to identify hurdles and solutions to existing building electrification. In February, we kind of put all that feedback into some visualizations, and we kind of trued up some of the ideas and solutions that were coming forth from the group with what Peninsula Clean Energy was already planning, and started to clarify a scope for RICAPs to act, or for the county to act in light of what was currently being planned. And then in March and April, we further refined these concepts and ideas. And so I'm just going to give you a quick taste of what this has looked like. And this is going to get to grid reliability in a moment. And this was our process. So next slide, please. So this is just kind of a sense of what we heard. And a big part of what we heard is issues with the grid updates needed, issues of perception, misinformation about electrification. And so we took a lot of this feedback and we started to clarify. So next slide, please. We boiled a lot of the solutions that were coming forth into a few categories: staffing and resources / compliance solutions, contractor and workforce solutions, technical, cost / financing, and communication / perception. And this is really where a lot of the grid reliability content comes in. Next slide. So this is what I was talking about truing up the appropriate sphere of action for RICAPs, figuring out, okay, given the breadth of things that we could do and the range of things that are coming forward from the group, and also given what Peninsula Clean Energy is planning on doing, what can we do to facilitate, add value, bring this conversation along about electrifying your existing building stock? And so we came up with a range of programs. And so that's what this visual is intended to give you the gist of, and how we were trying to visualize it for our audience. Next slide. And we are prioritizing and have really landed on an outreach campaign for the general public, local governments, elected officials, et cetera, targeted audiences, focusing on grid upgrades, reliability, zonal electrification. And so a lot of this has to do with addressing just upfront concerns that people have, including our planning director, planning staff, being able and equipping them to address questions that they're going to get at the planning counter and in the contracting community. So that's kind of our approach on that. And I'm happy to field questions or talk to people offline about that. So this is still a work in progress. We're fleshing out our work plan on this in partnership with PCE. The next thing that I wanted to highlight that addresses concerns about electrification and grid reliability are a series of case studies that we did that clarify the cost for decarbonizing single family homes. And this work was really led by Tom Cabot and Josie Gallard. They were just champions in this whole process, and they did a lot of this heavy lifting. And so we looked at 10 different houses. So next slide, please. We looked at 10 different houses throughout San Mateo County. And this study was to learn about costs and strategies for decarbonizing, how much does it cost, whether a long-term electrification plan helps homeowners, and what we as a community of practice can learn from assisting homeowners in electrifying. And the process, next slide. This happened during COVID, so a lot of the in-person stuff was nixed, but we basically had an application process. Contractors did site visits, and they developed drawings and plans. They recruited contractors, and basically Josie and Tom solicited bid from contractors to establish a range of pricing options for these electrification plans. We came up with some findings. So these are all posted online. So I'm actually going to just go ahead to the next slide. Don't need to dwell too much on where these homes were located, but just to give you a sense, we wanted to get a breadth of types of homes: location, home vintage, home size, and income level, and electrical panel size. And next slide. What Tom and Josie were able to produce through work with the contractors is an electrification plan. And this is not necessarily intended for you to digest right now. You can view it all online, but pretty comprehensive packet of information. And what we found in the next slide is that an electrification plan does have the potential to save the homeowner quite a bit of money. It provides information, critical information for longer term planning, and it helps homeowners avoid unnecessary work in the long term. It also optimizes using the existing electrical panels, meaning folks don't necessarily have to get a panel upgrade in a lot of cases. So if you go to the next slide, please. I'm not going to read these off verbatim, but some of the top line findings are that panel upgrades are not always necessary, and people sometimes automatically oversize HVAC equipment or undersize heat pump water heaters. So there's a few takeaways here that are really important for homeowners to consider as they embark on any kind of electrification project. Next slide. Like I said, you can view all of these online. There's 10. And this is really helping us answer some questions about grid reliability at the very local level. Concerns about what is the grid? How does this impact? How does proposed building electrification affect panel upgrades, et cetera? So this is an important technical resource for us to refer to when some of these questions come up. And I just have a few seconds left, and I wanted to just highlight something else that we've done through RICAPS, and this is an electrification best practices review. And we've taken a few top use cases. Next slide, thank you. And We look at accessory dwelling units, affordable housing, commercial kitchens. I put the wok on here because that always seems to come up. Can you cook with a wok? Is there anybody out there doing it? So we look specifically at commercial kitchens, public emergency centers, labs and life science sources of methane emissions. And so we're basically breaking down use case studies of electrification and showing that it can be done. So we took some of the top ones that people throw out, commercial kitchens, can it be done? Yes, it can be done. So there's my timer. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'm happy to field questions and again, talk in more detail offline. So thank you.